Good morning, everyone. I would like to open this video by saying welcome back to my channel, but it's been so long since I've posted a video on here that I feel like I should probably just start from scratch at this point and say welcome to my channel, welcome to my severely neglected and abandoned and forgotten channel. And actually the channel very much reflects the current state of my garden this year as well, which is really quite bad, really quite bad. So yeah, this is what my garden looks like as of October 2024. It's an absolute train wreck, really. There's nothing really out there of any value. Although saying that, I can see a few parsnips. There are a few parsnips hiding amongst the weeds there. The lemon balm I've been giving to the horses, they enjoy that. Got a few pretty flowers. There's a little, that makes me happy. But for the most part, all I've really got out here that's of any interest to me is a few herbs. And I do have this lovely curly kale, which is being crushed by the frame, which has completely given up under the weight of my broccoli plants. Oh, did I just fix it? Okay, that solved that problem. Yes, I do have this rather beautiful curly kale, which I need to start eating because that is just magnificent. But yeah, this is where we're at. It's not the best, really. So yeah, it's been a really bad gardening year for me. And I feel like a lot of gardeners have struggled this year. The weather kind of got off to a sketchy start. It's been quite a wet summer here in the UK, which has made it challenging. But for me, the biggest problem I've had has been pest pressure. We get a problem with pests here, so mainly slugs. We get a lot of slug damage, which I can manage. I have found kind of like organic methods of dealing with that. So the beer traps work really well for us. And I use nematodes quite consistently, and that really helps with that. And that also helps with other sort of creepy crawly pest problems. So I can kind of keep on top of that. That is a manageable problem. But the problem that has completely undone my garden this year has been rats. Oh my goodness, we have the worst rat problem here. It is, I mean, we've always had rats here, so for anybody who doesn't know, so for anybody who hasn't come from my equestrian channel, this little garden is at our yard with our horses. So we've got stables over there. We've got 4 horses here. We did have a pig up until last year. She's gone now, she passed away. But yeah, it's a stables, it's a yard. So you're always gonna get rats in that kind of setup. It's just one of those unfortunate things you create. By having horses and livestock, you unintentionally create a very desirable environment for rodents to live in. So we're never going to be fully rid of them. They've always been here. But this last year, the amount of damage they've caused has been unimaginable, unbelievable. So we actually refurbished our stable block this year. We did uncover several rat nests while doing that. And over again, it was just mind-blowing just how much damage they had managed to cause to the buildings. They uproot the foundations underneath, so we've got a lot of gravel and hardcore down. They dig through that like it's nothing. And they've eaten through a lot of the timber buildings. We've lost a lot of stuff to rats in the past, where they've gotten into our sheds and just soiled and eaten things, and it's absolutely disgusting. If you've never smelt rat filth, it's just disgusting. It's absolutely rancid, vile, disgusting, horrible. You don't, just anything that has that smell on it, you just don't want to keep. Even if you could clean it and salvage it, it's just, you don't want to at that point. It's just tainted, really. So we have lost a fair amount of stuff to them. But more than anything, it's been the structural damage that's been a problem. And on top of all of that, they basically consumed my entire garden of 2024. So starting from last winter, so autumn winter 2023 through to now, so October 2024, all I've had out of this garden is a few onions. Oh, and some peppers. So these peppers that I have behind me, I've had a fair few peppers off of here. I have managed to keep the rats from consuming all of those, although they have tried. But other than that, I have not managed to get anything out of this garden this year before the rats have managed to consume it, which is mind-blowing. I started a lot of plants this spring. I can't remember what the last video was that I posted. I may have put a community post up or something like that showing my greenhouse at the beginning of the year. But I had it's probably in the region of 20 tomato plants. I had a good solid half a dozen cucumbers. I had 3 or 4 melon plants. Oh my goodness, I planted so much stuff out in the garden. I think I started 3 or 4 different rounds of beans and corn, which I struggled to get them to germinate, and I now know that the reason for that, it wasn't because they weren't germinating, it's just that the rats were either consuming the beans that I'd planted, or they were waiting until they sprouted up out of the soil, and then they were just nipping the tops off of them and killing them that way. So I had 3 or 4 batches of beans before I managed to get a few to grow. I did finally get a few to grow, but I probably planted about 200 different beans all in all, and I think I got 4 plants out of that, to give you an idea of the scale of the problem we've had. And I had the same problem with my pumpkins. So I do have 1 pumpkin plant left. No, that's a lie, actually. I got a bonus pumpkin plant, which is down on our muck heap at the bottom of the property, which I'm going to go check in a little bit, actually, because there were some fruits forming on that, and I'm going to be really excited if that is the case, because that will actually be our first squash of the year that I actually get to eat myself, that the rats didn't beat me to. So I did have pumpkins up here. I tried to grow some outside in the garden. We had the same problem as I had with the beans. So as soon as the shoots came up, the rats were nipping them off, and that was the end of that. I mean, I planted my entire supply of pumpkin seeds and bean seeds this year, and I had a lot of them, and I got basically nowhere for my efforts. I did manage to keep a couple of plants in here. This is my only remaining fruit, which, I mean, I don't even know why I'm bothering to carry on growing it. I'm not going to eat it because, as you can see, it has been quite severely nibbled on by the rats, which is really disappointing. So there were a couple of other really impressive fruits growing in here. I also had a very magnificent watermelon plant growing in here this year, and so I grew baby watermelons last year, not on purpose, it's just I obviously didn't have the soil nutrition right and they didn't grow very big. But I had a fairly substantial watermelon growing in the greenhouse this year, and it was beautiful and it was magnificent and it was almost the size of my head. It was a really good looking watermelon. And I remember I watched it every day. I came out and I was watching it grow, and it got bigger and bigger, and then it started ripening. And I remember coming out here one day and I kind of smelt it and I tapped on it and I thought, you know what, another day, I reckon, and that's going to be ripe and perfect to pick. And I remember that day so distinctly in my head. And then I came down the following morning eagerly to check on my beautiful watermelon that I'd grown, and it was gone. The entire thing was gone. All that was left was a little slither of skin about this big and a little bit of jelly, and a few seeds. So in one evening, the rats had consumed an entire watermelon the size of my head. Like I said, they'd also consumed multiple squashes in here. They ate loads of my peppers as well. They've just done so much damage, and they've disrupted the foundation under our greenhouse as well. So we're actually we're putting a plan together to redo the floor in here to make it more rat-proof. I thought we did make it rat-proof, so we actually put wire underneath the gravel, and then we laid the bricks. So we've got a layer of bricks for the actual greenhouse itself to sit on. But under all of this is a layer of wire. So we put down weed fabric, we put down wire, and then we put the gravel on that, in the hopes that that would stop the rats from burrowing through, but somehow they found a way around it. And they've dug very large tunnels coming in here, which has caused a lot of problems for me. And yeah, so basically all my greenhouse has produced is, like I said, a few peppers. I haven't had anything else out of here. The garden outside, I'll be completely honest, I kind of gave up on the garden probably about June this year was when I threw in the towel and thought, you know what, I can't win this battle. And I put my efforts into other jobs around and about. I was like, you know what, I can't be doing with this now. I'm not gonna get anything out of it. So I walked away, I called it quits, I walked away, cut my losses. But I had a lot of crops out there. So I love beetroot. I planted a lot of beetroot, garlic, onions, like I said, the beans, the squash. I had turnips, swedes, parsnips, carrots, and quite a few leafy greens as well. And I kid you not, the rats have consumed all of it. I have had nothing. Literally nothing. I mean, I went out to harvest my potatoes. There was nothing there. They were gone. The rats had eaten them all. I found a couple of little nubby green ones that had some bite marks in them, and that was it. The rest were gone. Completely gone. Bearing in mind we had several kilos of potatoes out of the same space the previous summer. And it was the same with like all the root vegetables. So I would go to pick the root vegetables, and there might be a top there. I'd pull the top up, and underneath it would just be like a chewed up mess of root, if there was even anything left at that point. So it's been really frustrating, really disheartening. I put a lot of effort in at the beginning of this year and have had basically no return for it. And yeah, so I kind of gave up on my garden. And as a result of that, I gave up on this channel for the year, as you may have noticed. But we're coming into winter now. We've got a lot of the jobs done around the yard that we needed to get done. And so I've started to turn my focus back to the garden. I really want to get the rodent problem under control and working on that. I am very close to getting pest control in here. I feel like I may need some professional help to get on top of the problem, and then we might be able to manage it going forward. But I'm having one final push. I've been putting out bait stations, lots of traps, and I'm going to be working on minimizing habitats for the rodents to live in. So we have created a bit of a monster in that we've got a few sheds around here that are sat on pallets, and that was done because we have a really, really bad damp problem around here. Like, really, it's so wet around here in the winter, it's unbelievable. Buildings just disintegrate in the moisture. And so we raised a few of our sheds up on pallets to keep them away from, well, it's not going to completely save them from it, but to minimize the amount of damp damage, like rising damp we get. And unintentionally, by doing that, we've created the perfect rat runs. So over the course of the next 12 months, I'm going to be looking at removing all of those raised pallets. One of them's rotted through anyway. I put my foot through one the other day, so that has to go. That's going to be the first one to go. That's what our feed shed is on. And we're going to have to bite the bullet and get some concrete laid. Hopefully we can do it ourselves. It's not massive areas, so I think we can do it ourselves. And it's not particularly heavy load bearing, so it's not like there's going to be a massive building going on it. So I'm, at this point, speaking as somebody who's not actually attempted to do this yet, so it will come unraveling. But at this point, I'm feeling confident that we can do this ourselves. And that will hopefully help alleviate the problem. We're going to take away all their hiding places. As for the garden, again, I have got a few things on pallets in here. So I've got a few plant pots on pallets. That was done, again, mainly because of how wet the ground gets and things have a tendency to sink. So I'm going to be rethinking that. I think my plan for the bulk of the garden is, I'm going to have a complete overhaul. Everything is getting ripped out. All my trellises have rusted and fallen apart. Blue did help with that. He managed to partially push over the fence into the garden, and he managed to break a couple of the trellises, so he's helped that along its way. He does like to break things. Blue is one of our horses, by the way. He is an agent of chaos, a one-man wrecking ball. He's a problem horse, bless him. So all those trellises are going to go. All of my garden bed edges are kind of rotten and naff by now. I mean, I used secondhand wood anyway. It was kind of scrap wood I had lying around to do that a couple of years ago, and it did do well. It's done a couple of years, so I can't complain really. But all of that's going to get ripped out. I'm going to completely reconfigure the garden beds to make it a bit more accessible, a bit more user-friendly. And I'm going to put proper raised beds in everywhere. I'm looking into ways that I can try and rodent-proof those to a certain extent as well. So, I mean, it kind of failed in here, so I don't know how effective it will be, but I'm thinking I'm going to put some kind of rodent mesh at the bottom of my raised beds to hopefully stop them from digging up underneath. And obviously with it being wooden beds, I'll be able to secure the wire to the bottom of the raised bed. I think that may be where we went wrong in here, because we laid the wire down and then put the gravel down and the bricks and everything on top of it. I wonder if they've managed to disrupt the wire and kind of move it and dig their way through it because it wasn't fixed to anything. So that's something I'm thinking about doing when I do my raised beds, put some kind of rodent mesh at the bottom of them, fix that on, so that'll stop them burrowing up. As for them going in over the top, I don't know, I might have to make lids or something. I'm still kind of working this out in my head. But yeah, I might make some kind of like cage lid to go on the beds to protect crops that I know they're gonna go for. It's gonna be problematic though, because I mean, things like pumpkins, I mean, look at the size of that plant. And that's quite a small one for us because that's grown in a tiny pot. I mean, you can't really protect everything, but I'm going to try my best. Hopefully the raised beds as well will make it easier to keep the garden areas tidier. So I come through here with a strimmer and I just blast off anything and everything that isn't something that I planted. So having the raised beds will make that a lot easier because it's going to mean that my crops are up and out of the way, which hopefully will help with pest problems anyway, but it just makes it a lot easier to clear those paths. I don't have to worry about nipping my own plants, which I have done numerous times in the past. I can't tell you how many vegetables I've accidentally beheaded while going around with the strimmer, so that should hopefully minimise that. Other than that, it's just going to be epic tidy up, and I'm hoping that a winter with nothing out here might help us to break the cycle as well. So like I said, I'm coming down hard on trying to get the population under control, trying to sort of get them out of any hiding spaces they've got left. I'm still toying with the idea of rodent getting in pest control. But I'm not planning on planting a garden this winter. So usually I'll do root vegetables, I'll do some like overwinter brassicas, onions, garlic, etc. I'm not going to do any of that this year. I'm literally just going to rip the whole garden out, start from fresh next spring. The only place I'm planning on growing stuff for this winter is in this greenhouse. So the plan in here is, I said, we're going to get the floor done first. I've had a really good clear out in here. I don't know if you remember, but I had like a little mini greenhouse thing, kind of where I'm sitting. Fell apart, it's useless. I didn't use it anyway, so the idea behind that was to have like a double insulated place for seed starting, but it's kind of useless, so that's gone. Burnt that, got rid of it. Don't want it anymore. And the plan for in here is to put in a couple of raised planters. So I've had pots in here, but I want something a bit deeper and a bit more substantial to get more dirt in. And I'm going to try and grow maybe some cabbages. It's going to have to be fairly small stuff. I mean, I might be able to get away with broccoli in here, but they do grow like monsters around here. I don't know if it's our weather conditions or maybe they just like all the horse manure that I put in the garden, but our broccoli plants grow big and strong and they're very productive. So I don't know if that's the best idea for the small space in here, but definitely a few cabbages. I might try a few Swedes, maybe a few parsnips, carrots, just in some raised beds in here, where hopefully once we've redone the floor, hopefully I can keep this rodent proof. And this is going to be my little winter garden space basically, and then everything outside is going to be ripped out, gutted, overhauled, brand new beds going in, brand new configuration, chase all those nasty little rodents out, and then hopefully next summer we might actually have a chance of eating some of the vegetables that I spend a lot of time growing and looking after. I'm not gonna lie, this year's been very disheartening as a gardener, very, very disheartening. Like I said, I completely gave up. So that's kind of where we're at with the messy garden at the moment. My plan is to do some semi-regular videos. I think a realistic target is to do like maybe one a month throughout the winter, and I can keep you guys up to date with where we are, what we're doing. Obviously I have another channel, an equestrian channel, which is my main channel, which is called Raver's Mead, where there's weekly videos going up if you're interested in checking that out as well. But yeah, I think maybe a monthly video, keep you guys updated, show you guys what we're doing. Hopefully we'll have some luck with the rodents. If anybody has any advice, by the way, with regards to dealing with pests, specifically rats, I would really appreciate it. I have trawled the internet, I've asked lots of people. The advice seems to be very limited and repetitive, but if there's any tricks you've had, any successes you've had, I would love to know about it. And I'll keep you guys posted as well. If I find any kind of like miracle solutions, I'll be sure to tell you all. Yeah, that's kind of where we're at. So yeah, welcome back to my channel. Hopefully I'll see you guys in about a month's time. And in theory, next time I do a video with you guys, this greenhouse will be completely overhauled. And we'll have our nice little raised beds in, we'll have a new floor in, and hopefully we'll have some veggies growing, which we're really excited because I'm so craving fresh homegrown veggies. Like there's something different about it. It just tastes better, it's more satisfying when you eat it. I mean, shop all veggies are okay. I try to buy British whenever I buy fresh produce. Same with when I buy meat or anything else. I always try to intentionally buy British produce, which I think tastes better anyway. And that's probably because most of what's available that is British is going to be in season. I think that's the biggest thing that makes a difference to it. And I think that's the biggest thing that makes homegrown taste so much better, is the fact that it is in season when you're getting to eat it. So it's not been forced, it's not been like overfed, or it's not flown halfway around the world. And so it's just so much nicer, so much nicer. But yeah, welcome back to my channel, I guess, guys. That's all for today. Just a little update for you. More of a rant, really. Groan, grumble. But hopefully the next one will be a bit cheerier, and fingers crossed we'll have a beautiful functional greenhouse space that I can show you guys next time, and then we can get growing some veggies again, because I need this. I need fresh veg in my life so badly. So yeah, thanks for checking back in with me. If you're interested in following along with our gardening journey, then go ahead and subscribe to this channel, like the video. And yeah, like I said, I've got an equestrian channel as well. I would imagine most people who are here have come from there anyway. I'd be very surprised if I get any organic reach on this video. It's probably going to be people coming over from my other channel. But in case you are new here, like I said, go check out the horses too. And yeah, I'll see you guys soon.